Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of There's a Will. Today we have Anthony McFarlane Gonzalez on the horn from Bydgoszcz, and that's all we have this special Easter show. So we're going to chat with each other and at you for about 50 minutes with a small commercial pause for people who need to sell things. Even that never stops, does it? Even at Easter there, Anthony.
No, does not at all, especially this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. How's the weather in Bydgoszcz today?
Bydgoszcz was actually cloudy. I'm up here in Gdynia training. And
you're in Gdynia. Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I have my
bike. You didn't
bike.
mention that, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a training that I have to do on a TT bike for UCI competition this coming week.
What competition?
UCI.
UCI means
Cycling.
what?
Cycling.
Yeah, but say the name out, the full name. UCI, what is it?
Universal Ciclisme Internationale.
Ah.
It's the body for cycling.
Okay, so it sounds like French or something, isn't it? Is it in French?
Yeah. It's organized. The headquarters is in France.
Okay. So because you're going for this Olympic thing, aren't you?
Yeah. Yep. I have 3 races, 3 qualifiers. One is in Maniago, Italy, starting on the 17th to the 23rd. Then I have Belgium in Onstead, the first week of May. And then the last week of May is in Huntsville, Alabama in the United States.
Huntsville, Alabama, May. That'll be hot.
Oh, it is going to be scorching.
It'll be a scorcher. You better drink a lot. You better start drinking a lot in preparation for that journey. You were eating yogurt or something before we started, and as we were waiting, you were telling me that your coach is angry with you.
Yeah, he's not too happy. He found out that through my nutrition that I give on the charts on the program called Training Peaks, because I have to put in very detailed analysis of my training and also eating habits. He found out that I was eating too little. Too little is 2,200 kilograms.
Calories, right? 2,200 calories.
Yeah, 2,200 calories.
That's what I'm supposed to, or you're supposed to have, even if you're not exercising. That's about normal for a man, right?
1,600 is normal for guys, between 1,600 and 1,800.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The problem is that I was lacking magnesium, and he was really mad about the race on Sunday that I had because I cramped up, and I had a blood test and they got the results yesterday, and I was severely lacking magnesium in my system, so I was below average. So hence why I was eating yogurt and had to get more magnesium tablets and pills to make up for the lack of it, because magnesium is really good for releasing your lactic acid in your legs or arms or whatever your muscles.
Which is what gets you, the lactic acid, what gets you when you're really pushing yourself to the limits, particularly in running or cycling. That's what makes you seize up and get tight when you're in the last part of the quarter mile.
Oh, God, yeah.
I used to run the quarter mile.
I used to run the quarter mile since I was 14 years old. And
yeah, me too.
I was, granted, in college, went to nationals, won nationals, and won my state too, and it's pretty cool. And Division III, not Division I. God, I wish I won Division I. That would be awesome.
What was your best time?
48.6 was my, 48.2 was my best time. 48.6 was my average.
Yeah, my best time was 49.3, but that didn't even win state championship in Georgia.
No, yeah, Georgia, there's a
oh my God,
whole different beast.
Oh my God, these guys would still be like 20, it seemed like 20 meters ahead of you.
no, exactly. But in the quarter mile, that the 1 second ahead of you or 2 seconds ahead of you is 10 meters.
It's way up there, yeah. I think the state record in Georgia is like 54 or something.
Andrew, not what's his name? He runs for Georgia Bulldogs now.
Yeah.
Criminy, and he's also a gold medal winner too, but he's in college still. I just can't remember his name. It's like Elijah something. Elijah Goodwood.
Well, the world record's under 50, right? Yeah.
The world record's under 44 seconds. It's actually 43:09.
Oh my God. Yeah.
by a South African called Van Niekerk. His
Mm-hmm.
last name, unreal. He did that in Rio. He set the world record in Rio.
I didn't know it was that low. So I guess the Georgia State record's probably around 49 or something now.
Oh no, no, less than that. You're talking
Really?
44 something because it's Elijah Goodwood. He's the fastest. I think the fastest American. Oh, sorry, no, the fastest collegiate athlete right now, and the fastest American is Norman. I just don't remember his name, but he ran out of USC before the 2022 Olympics, which of course were the 2020 Olympics.
I don't even think 49 seconds. I mean, they would be the guys. The best guys are like finishing when you're coming around the third leg. You know,
Yeah,
entering the stretch.
40 meters behind him, 50 meters behind him.
It's ridiculous.
No, yeah, there's a
But
guy
49 used to be fast.
No, yeah, I know. And I thought
48 was really fast. Yeah.
Yeah, people don't understand the type of caliber these guys are. I mean, when you're on the line with these guys, then they just take you for like the first 125 meters. You may be okay with them. You may think you have a chance, but they are already pulling away by 6, 7 meters, 8 meters, and I'm like, Jesus. Yeah, because I remember racing against.
And they're getting stronger.
Yeah, and
as
it's
they go.
They're like steam engines. They don't stop. They just keep getting faster and faster and faster. But I remember racing against a kid named Andrew Rock, and he was an Olympian for the 2008 Beijing and Athens games, and he was the world's fastest time holder at that point, and he ran a 44.3 or 44.45, and he's a coach for the University of Wisconsin lacrosse. But yeah, running against him, dude, it made me look just, or everybody in the field were just utter and total, just slow as hell. We were just turtles compared to him.
I know. Well, I remember in high school we had people running under the 5 minute. Under 5 minute. That'd be beating the original record was under 4 minutes. I mean.
Yeah, under 4 minutes. Yeah.
They were running at just under 4 minutes in high school.
Sub 4. Christ.
Yeah. Of course, we had one of the best runners in the country, and another one right behind him. They pushed each other. Then I'm struggling 20 seconds, 30 seconds behind them.
Hey, but that's not shabby at all. Being 20 or 30 seconds behind some of the fastest runners in the world that to this day are some of the best times.
Yeah, it's incredible. Anyway, let's move on. You've been reading a good book, I heard. Let's continue the athletic theme. Yeah?
No. Yeah. So just finished reading the section last night. I haven't touched it since, but I finished reading the section about Mike Tyson.
It's this book, isn't it?
Doc, are you talking to me? Doc. Thank you from yours truly.
Yeah, you bet. I gave you the copy last week. Anyway, this is freely available on Amazon. All you have to do is put in the title and put in my name as it is there, and then you can find the book. And of course, there's this one too. You'll also find the first part of my novel. The second part will be coming out in June.
Oh,
the sequel to this, which is pretty crazy. If I do say so myself. Anyway, are you talking to me? So you've read a bit of it, yeah?
Yeah, Doc, all the way up to Mike Tyson's interview and finished reading it. And actually, I like that one, as I was looking forward to reading his section. He's not, the way that a lot of people portray him, that he is not a very smart individual, is completely and utterly wrong. He is an intellectual, and it is absolutely brilliant to see him and how you talk to him and how he just genuinely is not the conveyed message that everybody thinks that he is, because he has a little high-pitched voice. Who cares? The guy is an individual that thinks beyond what most people think of. He's awesome.
Yeah, it was funny. I'm glad you got picked up on that, because I think it's one of the most original interviews with him. I mean, the most original interview I've heard, because he talks to me about Scott Fitzgerald, because when he was away for a while up the river, in the early 90s, he had to take a break, an enforced break from boxing. He did a lot of reading when he was in jail. Yep. And one of the people he read I think all the books of F. Scott Fitzgerald he really knows something about, which is unusual. You don't meet a lot of people who know anything about F. Scott Fitzgerald anymore.
Not quite a bit. Not unless.
Of course,
you
he's not that
studied.
young. So, but
No. And see, and that's the other thing too. I mean, to be his age, and this was like what, a couple of 2000, pre-2000, because his
the interview was from about 10 years ago when he was in Poland promoting a drink, an energy drink called I forget the name of it actually. Is it
Black Energy, actually, believe it or not.
Black, isn't it called? Yeah, that's it.
Black Energy.
Yeah.
And and that was also before his famous movies, The Hangover, which came out later, 2016, 17.
Just before all that, yeah.
But no, he is honestly not. He embodies a lot of the athletic ability that people still maintain because it's just something that you have to maintain. I mean, he's a warrior, literally. He's a boxing guy. He literally fights for he's won his accolades by fighting. And he still maintains it. He still has it. Please don't let anybody tell you that he doesn't have it. That guy is...
I wouldn't tell him.
Hell no. He is an amazing
Although he was extremely nice, with me. And as you see if you read the interview, he was very forthcoming and very honest,
very down to earth. And he's respectful, too. And just
down to earth, yeah.
And a lot of people nowadays don't understand that respect goes a long ways, and it shows. And be honest and be truthful, because people will call you out on your BS. Literally, they will call you out on it. And he genuinely noticed that you were a genuine person when he met you. So it was really neat to see that interview. And you can tell that he was actually letting loose and telling you what was on his mind. He was speaking with honesty.
Well, I never go into... I hope that's true. It seems so. Seemed to me at the time, and if that comes across to you, that's great as a reader. But I never have an agenda when I go into an interview, except if there is an agenda at all. It's to get to know the person, and nothing is more frustrating than when you meet someone and they are obfuscatory. They don't want to talk about themselves. They're blocking this normal contact. I want to talk to somebody as if you just met him at a bus stop, or you sat next to him at a bar, or you sat next to him at a table, that it's relaxed and you can just approach them, whoever it is, however famous they are. And Mike Tyson is certainly one of the most famous people in the world, for example. He's not the only one. Most of these people are very well respected, many of them very well known, at least in their own country. They would be top of the hill in their field. But that's the kind of rapport you want to establish. You just want to be normal. And then, if you're lucky, you may begin to find out who they are. It's difficult in an interview, though. I think when you read the Bruce Willis interview, you will see that he was pushing back. He was this may have been because he was just beginning to be ill at that time. I didn't know, but I sensed there was something very strange about him. And they were very protective of him. So it may have been the beginning of his dementia was creeping in. He wasn't quite himself, because it certainly seemed that way when I interviewed him.
Yeah, I haven't really delved into that section yet, but I can't wait to get to it, because he was one of my favorite actors.
Yeah,
and
it's fairly stock. He struck me as a very lazy sort of person, not very curious about the world.
Just nonchalant about it, really.
Yeah, very nonchalant about virtually everything, like a cat. Oh, whatever. It's just sitting in his, sitting in his chair, just curled up, and doesn't really care whether you're there or not, which I respect. As well, people don't have to talk, but if you're in the public eye and you consent to an interview, you might as well go through the motions, right?
Good partner.
Yeah, no. I think. Well, what are you doing for Easter?
Training.
Just, normal. Me too. Normal life. I'm not training, but normal life. I'll just be working as usual, writing. I won't be in the studio. This is recorded a few days before Easter. But I don't anticipate any running about or anything like that. Just probably be riding and going for a walk and, maybe go see a movie.
Actually, yeah, and if you go see a movie, there's some pretty good movies out there. And if there's some action junkies out there that want to continue the series, John Wick 4 came out. It's actually not that bad.
I'd like to see that. One of my friends edited John Wick 2.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, she's an editor from Iceland.
Oh, wow.
Elizabeth Ronald's daughter. All the women are something daughter. And she's Ronald's daughter. And if you look in the credits, she's editing John Wick 2 and also Atomic Blonde and various other of these action. She's got a name as an action editor, but not only. I mean, she does documentaries and other things. A swell person, actually. Yeah, I really like her. Yeah.
If you ever talk to her again, she does great work. Tell her from me, because she did.
You know what? I'll send her a message after the show. How about that?
Awesome. Yeah, tell her it was
send
amazing.
Elizabeth a message. She was just working in Australia. She's gone back to Iceland, I believe now. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But she's really nice person, and well, goes without saying, very very talented in the action genre. Who would have thought it?
No kidding. I mean, if she did John Wick 4, it shows, because it seems like John Wick 2 again. The third installment was not as good. It didn't have the same feel, the reality.
The same snap. Well, she didn't do 3. I don't know if she's done 4. I have to ask her. She was working in Australia, but I'll ask her what she's been up to and send her a message from you. Okay? Cool. Say, Anthony, future Olympic champion cyclist. And ex-special forces. Let's move on, because Finland this week has joined NATO.
Will join NATO this week. The flagpole has been put up, and they will have the ceremony is either today or tomorrow. I'm not quite sure when they have the
we're filming this, as I said, a few days early. So, yeah. What do you think that means? Business as usual? Does it change and everything? How do you think the Russians will view this? If you were Russian.
If they're Russians, they are going to be scrambling to try and figure out how to protect the border, which is going to also show their other side of their butt cheeks, because they don't have enough people to cover that border. They are always going to put a facade saying that we're going to bolster up the northwestern front. And it's like, yeah, with what manpower and what equipment do you have to do that, to bolster it? And they don't have enough to even take over Ukraine or defeat an enemy that they consider an enemy in that point in time. They can't even protect their own borders. And that's the thing that a lot of people are seeing, that it's just this legendary military. It really isn't legendary. They're just full of hot air.
Well, I mean, the old thing is, who has Russia actually beaten in a war on their own? And you're hard-pressed to find a case, because even in World War II, without the United States sending all the equipment,
Russia would have actually been slightly defeated. They were using.
I don't think they could have beat Germans at all.
No, they would have had a stalemate in St. Petersburg and still there. That would have been. Winter was the only thing that helped Russians to put them back, is because the Germans ran out of equipment and supplies. Yeah,
because the Russians were getting all those supplies in. Yeah. Where were they sending them in? Through Murmansk and,
Murmansk, and there was one other port. I just can't remember where they were going through. But yeah, Murmansk is where...
these northern ones they were sending in, which is incredible in itself, an incredible feat. But I don't know, the Russians are always bragging about, their leaders are always bragging about how wonderful they are, and then, if it weren't for nuclear weapons,
it wouldn't be having this. Yeah,
they wouldn't be invading anyone if it weren't for nuclear weapons. I mean, it's the typical bully move, isn't it? The whole time. But and also, they can criticize Ukraine for being Nazi as much as they want, but the Hitler playbook is in Putin's hands, not in.
No, exactly.
Mr. Zelensky, who's actually Jewish, not in his hand. I mean, it's topsy-turvy, the logic.
Their logic is beyond buffoonery, and honestly, it's just...
Yeah, that's a good line, beyond buffoonery. Yeah.
And if you there's a pro-Russian activist or vocal, more on the extreme side, so of the Russians. They just blew him up at his own store or whatever restaurant.
Yeah, the blogger in the cafe.
Yes.
That the girl handed him a statue and it blew up, some sort of a soldier or something.
More than that, because it blew up the entire cafe.
Yeah, it injured other people, but it killed him.
Oh yeah, completely.
It's a wonder that no one else was injured. What about the girl? She walked away and left, or what happened?
Don't know.
We don't know. I mean, they're not letting any information out about her.
Those guys are keeping everything. That's the whole thing. They're playing this cloak and dagger. They're playing the cloak over Russia and any of its allies that are normally on the axis of evil. That's what I call axis of evil, is anybody that's aligned with Russia. But
which would be Iran, China, North Korea.
And no, North Korea, but also
Nicaragua, if you can believe it.
Yeah, I can't believe that either. There's a couple other countries in South America that are really supportive of that. Venezuela is one of them.
Brazil's on the fence.
They're always on the fence. They've been on the fence for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
The other country, that Myanmar is one of them. Some parts of Vietnam are still they still have support for the communistic parties. Who else?
But Vietnam's more open. Is pretty open in many ways, certainly for business.
They're more like a capitalistic China.
Well, actually, all these places are open for business. What am I talking about? I was doing business in Nicaragua,
But the more extreme places.
A dozen years ago, yeah.
And here's the other thing, interesting too, because I believe that there is a sleight of hand being played by the Indians. India is playing a sleight.
So how do you see that?
The military.
I mean, that's a good point.
With the equipment that they have, they really don't do much business with the United States, and that, for me, that raises red flags. Because when you're such an international country and you don't do business with military equipment with other foreign nations to increase your, I say that with a grain of salt because they do have F-16s. However, most of their aircraft is Russian made.
Yeah.
And most of their equipment is Russian made.
So they need those spare parts. But you know what?
And oil.
The Indians are pretty good they're even better than the Russians or the Chinese at sort of jerry-rigging things. And they're good they could make those parts themselves if they put their minds to it.
Fact. And the other thing about the Indian army and military is that they are much more tactically savvy than the Russians and the Chinese counterparts.
Sure.
And they've been able to fend off those two knuckleheaded countries for the past 50, 60 years without any problem.
Here's one for you that made me laugh. The Russians complaining that the West is trying to drive a wedge between Russia and China. This is Lavrov. I mean, it's comic, isn't it? What's wrong with this guy?
He's just trying to put the blame. It's like a child. It's like a 14-year-old child always trying to blame others instead of looking within himself to say that he is the problem.
I know, it's just so funny. Don't get between us and China. We want to be best friends. There's no room for, two is company, three is a crowd. I mean, it's just pathetic.
No. Yeah, but then the other thing, too, that they're doing is just stupid. And I can't stand the UN right now.
We got to finish right there and come back after the break. The UN, it is annoying. The Russians are in charge of the Security Council now, which is also hilarious. Every 14 months it changes, right? And now the Russians are in charge of the Security Council. Oh, I feel pretty safe, don't you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was a good move for the end of this segment. All right, everybody, we'll see you back. Watch these ads and buy everything in these ads. It's all very important. See you in a minute.